The NBA Finals start this Thursday, June the 6th. I'm going to tell you who wins the NBA championship and why they win it. Full analysis, Mavericks, Celtics, your series prediction here, coming up free in just a moment. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV, and I'm breaking down the NBA Finals 2024 edition. Celtics have been here before. In fact, they've underachieved in the recent years. They were favored against the Warriors just a couple years ago and fell short, and then, of course, a huge monumental upset in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, in which they lost to the Miami Heat. Almost became the first team to overcome an 0-3 deficit, but couldn't quite do it in Game 7. Celtics have definitely been playing with a chip on their shoulder this season, and they've had a pretty nice run here in the playoffs, and they have an extended layoff. We'll talk about that in a moment. But here come the Dallas Mavericks, the number 5 seed, a very misleading 5 seed, though. As keep in mind, the Mavericks made a huge trade in early February to pick up P.J. Washington from Charlotte, also brought in Daniel Gafford, two power forwards that have really helped the team defensively. In fact, if you look at their defensive efficiency ratings, it's gotten much better the last several months. And the results have also spoken loudly. Dallas finished the regular season on a 21-7 straight-up run. Then they lost the two last regular season games, meaningless games, so technically 21-9 after the trade. But they were really 21-7 in meaningful games. And now, of course, they've had 3 straight series wins here in the NBA postseason, and they've been a little more impressive, I think you could say, than what the Celtics have done because they've played tougher opponents. Dallas got by the Clippers, a very dangerous 4 seed, the number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder, and then they took care of Minnesota in just 5 games, very close to a 4-game sweep of the T-Wolves, who had just upset the defending world champ Denver Nuggets. So definitely a more impressive run so far here in the postseason for these Dallas Mavericks. But then again, we're not going to discount what the Celtics have done. They've done what they've had to do. They've beaten the teams they've played. Yes, they were fortunate to play Miami, Cleveland, Indiana, much weaker opponents. In fact, all 3 were weaker than the 3 teams that Dallas played. But Boston did what they had to do. They enter here off of 7 straight wins. They have been a bit overvalued, though. The last 7 wins, they've gone just 2-5 against the spread. In fact, they were just 1-3 against the spread in the 4 games that they won against the Indiana Pacers. Now, we'll talk about Game 1 in a separate video. I'll have your Game 1 breakdown later this week. And by the way, I do have a strong best bet for Game 1 on my page at WagerTalk.com. So winning and covering are 2 different things. And the Celtics currently are about a 6.5-point favorite in Game 1 here early in the week as we check the WagerTalk live odds screen. And once again, I'll have a solo video for Game 1 later here in the week. So click subscribe, click the bell as well for an instant alert. But we're talking series overall here. Boston relies heavily on the 3-point shot. If this was the NCAA tournament, I would love Dallas's chance to pull the upset maybe and win a single game. But it's not the NCAA tournament. And we talk about random 3-point variance so much in March, and that's why they call it March Madness. A one-and-done scenario. Things can happen when a team gets hot or cold from 3. And we've seen that happen with the Celtics. Their 2 playoff losses, they didn't shoot as well. They were complacent. But in a best-of-7 scenario like the NBA Finals, the cream normally rises to the top. And if we have to pick the team that's most likely to win 4 out of 7 games, and that's the Boston Celtics. Now, they're minus 220, take back plus 180 for Dallas on the series price. That's exactly 67%. The odds makers are saying 67% chance that Boston wins 4 out of 7 games. I think the odds are much higher, and the matchup favors the Celtics, especially when we get more of a sample size with multiple games, and I'll explain why right now. Yes, Boston relies heavily on the 3-point shot. They might get cold on a given night. They're on an extended layoff of over a week here for Game 1. Maybe they come out a little flat in Game 1, but then they'll bounce back in Game 2, and we saw that in the Indiana series. You know, they'd lost 3 straight Game 2s in the previous round against Miami last year, rather, in the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost both Games 2 against Miami and Cleveland this year. Fortunate to win Game 1. They came out sluggish, should have lost outright in regulation, won in overtime, but they didn't take their foot off the gas in Game 2. So even if the Celtics falter here in Game 1, they'll get Game 2. If they get Game 1, yeah, maybe they're a little flat in Game 2, but then they'll get Game 3 on the road. They always come back strong. They're the best team in the league, and they might have an off-shooting night from 3-point range occasionally, but over a 7-game sample, it's not going to happen that often. And the other reason I like Boston in this series is because of the matchup. I mentioned Dallas's improvements on defense after the trade, after picking up Gafford and Washington in early February. Those are interior defenders. They've got first-year guy Derek Lively III, big 7'2" out of Duke. By the way, Lively is really interesting. He was 16 for 16, 100% shooting in the Western Conference Finals. Didn't miss a shot, but he had 9 points or less in 3 of those 4 games. Look at his stats at Duke last year. He played less than 20 minutes a game. He averaged 5.5 points a game, and he was still a top 15 draft pick, 12th overall in the NBA draft. So they have some real good size down low with Gafford, Washington, and Lively. Problem is, it probably matters less against Boston than any team in the league. The Celtics are a three-point heavy team. They live and die by the three, as we've been discussing. That's why they took care of Minnesota. Edwards likes to drive the hoop. Karl-Anthony Towns shoots threes, but he's big as well. Gobert gets scoring down low. It was a good matchup for Dallas. It's not the case here. And then on top of that, not only does Dallas rely on their interior defense, they're not a good three-point defensive team. In fact, on the season, they're average overall, but on the road, they're even worse, giving up over 37% shooting. League average is about 36.5%. And Boston, of course, the best three-point shooting team in the league, 38.5%. They take 42 of them per game. So it's a favorable matchup for Boston, who relies on the three. And I think that's another reason the Celtics are the 2024 world champs. Now, how does this set up as far as player props or maybe future odds for the series? Well, if Boston wins it, it's going to be either Brown or Tatum. And if you look at the series MVP prices right now, you see that's priced in. Doncic is about 2-1. Irving is 22-1. So if Dallas pulls the upset and wins the series, it's going to be Doncic. It's hard to imagine a scenario, especially with Irving not scoring at times, where Dallas and Doncic is not almost 99% correlated. Boston is going to be either Tatum or Brown. Tatum is actually minus 125. He's minus money. Jaylen Brown is 5-1. After that, you got to go down to Porzingis and White, or around 50 or 60-1. So it's a two-man race for Boston. It's going to be either Tatum or Brown. I do think Tatum gets the MVP. I think Boston wins this series. And the reason I like Tatum is because he's really dominated Boston. Yes, he scores down low at times, but he also shoots the three well. These teams played twice in the regular season. Tatum had 32 points and 39 points this season. And going back to last year, the two times they played, Tatum had 29 and 37. And oh, by the way, the Celtics 4-0 straight up in those four meetings the last two seasons. So once again, shows that they do have a favorable matchup. And by the way, the most recent meeting this year was back on March 1st, in which Washington and Gafford were on the roster for Dallas. So once again, Gafford, I believe, did not play. Actually, he did. He came off the bench. Only played about 6 minutes in that game. Washington played 35. Lively played 22.5, 23.5. So they had their full lineup, is my point, on March 1st. And Boston still won that game by 28, 138-110. So they match up well. It's been shown the last 2 years where they're 4-0 straight up, and they get their world championship. And the fact they lost a couple years here as a favorite against Golden State, and the fact they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, they won't overlook this series. I like the Boston Celtics. Now, there's other ways we can play the series. If you don't want to lay the minus 220, you could look at a minus 1.5 spread. I'm seeing that around Pick'em, minus 110. I like that, actually. That means Boston would have to win 4-1 or 4-2. I don't know if they win 4-1. They could. 4-2 probably very likely. So once again, if you like the Celtics, you might want to split it. Half on minus 220 and then half on minus 1.5, minus 110 games. That's like we do in baseball, right? Half a unit money line, half a unit run line. You're getting a minus 1 price on the Celtics for the series. And you're getting it much more affordable. You're getting it in that minus 150 range at minus 1 game for the Celtics for the series. So some different ways to play it there, depending on what options your sports books have. Boston Celtics, your 2024 NBA World Champs. Hey, it's like having the advanced newspaper 2 weeks ahead of time, right? So play it as you will. I do think there's some good series opportunities here. Tatum or Brown for MVP. Obviously at 5-1 on Brown, you can put a little less there as a hedge, but I do think Tatum gets it, but Brown will get it otherwise. And Boston either full series minus 220, minus 1.5 games, minus 110, or on my preference, minus 1 game around minus 150 by putting a half a unit on each one. Hey, if you're finding these videos useful, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell, as I will have a deep dive into Game 1, player props for both teams, side and total, and I'll do it for every game of the finals because I have done every playoff game this season here on WagerTalk TV. And if you've been watching, you've been winning. It's been a great season for us. In fact, I'm number 1 this year in units won in the NBA, sides and totals combined. And I'm number 1 all time in the history of WagerTalk, the website itself, sides and totals combined in the NBA. And I'm releasing my first 5% best bet this season. That's right, I'm number 1 this year, units won, and number 1 all time. And I haven't even had a 5% best bet until now. Game 1, strong 5% best bet for Game 1 is available right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. While you're there, be sure to check out the daily free baseball plays I post each and every day. Free plays have been doing quite well. It's a great way to build your bankroll and expose you to some free baseball winners. Here's how it works. I have maybe 1 to 2 best bets a day. The last cut, the games that are just a bit outside from making the cut, those are the free plays, and I post them for people every day with analysis, so it's a great way to build your bankroll. They're strong opinions, and they've been doing well this year. And if you'd like to get my baseball best bets, instead of getting just the 5% NBA playoff best bet, consider the June special, the rest of June, for just about $7 a day. That works out to about $2 to $3 a play for all sports to get you the entire NBA Finals, my strong 5% best bet for Game 1, my only 5% play this season in my number 1 ranked NBA season, and then baseball every day as well for the month of June. That all sport, all access, just $7 a day, about $3 a play, is available on my page right now and includes the NBA Finals and every baseball play every day, and no promo code is needed. Check it out right now, along with that free play every day. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and once again, use shortcut WT.buzz/SM to get there even quicker. Hey, comment below, what are your thoughts on this series? I read all the comments, I reply back. Who do you like? Boston? Dallas? Throw in some analysis, make a case. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. What players do you think are play on or play against guys in this series? That's very important to do, by the way. You want to have a preferred side, preferred total, and then based on how the games play, that's when you decide if you're coming in with the zigzag, if you're stepping in for game 2s, 3, 4 selections. Same with the players. You know, if you have a play on or play against guy and they have a big game or a down below average game, that's when you want to maybe step in the next game and play them. So have a game plan, an advanced game plan, and comment below. Let me know who your play on, play against guys are in this series. And thumbs up like. If you're finding the videos useful, quick thumbs up like is really helpful, and we do appreciate the support here on WagerTalk TV. And once again, subscribe, click the bell for instant alerts. I do free baseball videos throughout the week, and also I will have a game-by-game video here for the NBA Finals. This was your series preview, a little appetizer. But check back in a couple of days for your Game 1 preview, and then your Game 2, 3, 4, and however many more there'll be. I don't think there'll be 7. Maybe there'll be 5 or 6. Hey, comment below. Let me know how many exact games in the series as well. Let's win and learn and earn together here on WagerTalk TV. Best of luck. Thanks for watching the video. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV for more great baseball and basketball content coming up next.